Both players see the writing on the wall here in the finals.
What is going on, TCG enjoyers? Kieran here with another game from the Masters Cup. So hopefully you guys have been enjoying all these games on my channel from some of the best players in the world. So today on the left we have Andrew Hedrick, NAIC champion, multi-time regional champion against Rowan Stavenow, also a regional champion on the right. Rowan has his own YouTube channel, so definitely go check him out. He posts a lot of games, like tabletop games, kind of like these with his thought process. And he's going to be on the Dragapult Charizard deck. It's a really cool build. He played it to NAIC, did really well with it. Also the build that a couple players got to ASIM. I think Ryan Antonucci was one of them. Hedrick's playing the Joltik Box deck. Not a deck, really. You'd expect to see someone like Andrew Hedrick playing, but him and Ian Robb both showed up to the tournament with the deck. I think you'll see, like, in this match, like, it's kind of hard to raise the ceiling of the Joltik deck. Like, even a great player like Andrew can't really raise it that much. And then, like, you'll see Rowan, I think, really show how much skill there is to his deck, the way he approaches this matchup. By, you know, limiting his bench, getting to a board state of only, like, 2 prizes with a lot of health at the end. So it's a really good game, or a good match. I've got multiple games in this one. This is a top cup match that we're going to go through. I mean, like, Hedrick got a pretty good start. He pretty much got the opening he wants. You literally just want ride on Joltik Energy and a way to get Jolting Charge turn 2, which he gets. And then Rowan also just has that pop in, right? He's going to be able to set up here. So I apologize in a second. The footage is about to jump to Rowan's next turn just because my camera or my phone ran out of storage as I was recording and I had to like delete some stuff really quickly. But you don't really miss much. You literally just miss like a Jolting Charge turn, which like doesn't matter. And then now Rowan's just playing Arven here. He has 2 Dragapult set up. So we'll just call that some ultra fast forwarding to the meat of the game. And yeah, you can see Rowan here like spreading energies because he anticipates that an Ampy very much is coming next turn. If you put the energies both on one Dracloak, or you only have a Dracloak with 1 energy, you run the risk of it getting amped, and then you have to get like Charizard plus Luminous next turn, which is just a little extra difficult to get going. So yeah, like Hedrick here, it's like interesting. His hand isn't very good. He doesn't have a lot of options. It's kind of funny in the game. Like Hedrick's about to take like 2 minutes to play an Ultra Ball here. Like Rowan was making fun of him for it. But yeah, if you look at Hedrick's hand, it's just like, what do you do with it? You have Mew, you have Boss if you want to play it. You've got the Blood Moon. There's a Pokegear. The thing with the Joltik Box is it doesn't play draw supporters. So like when your hand is low, like you're kind of just like relying on stuff like Mew or like Pheasantipity eventually to help you draw the cards. Pokegear is nice to get cards like the boss's orders, so you can amp on high priority targets. It's nice to get cards like Crispin if you want to power up more stuff. But here, like Hedrick doesn't really need to power up more attackers. His Iron Hands has a Bravery Charm, which is going to help protect it from Charizard if Rowan gets that in the following turn. And he already has a boss here if he wants to knock out one of the Dracloaks. So I think probably you want to take out a Dracloak here because the Dracloak are the draw engine for Rowan, and like Rowan wants to play this like really small board, and the reason Rowan wants to play a small board is if Rowan can get to a board where he only has 1 or 0 bench Pokemon. Clefairy actually can't knock out Dragapult. Clefairy needs 7 bench Pokemon between both players to do enough to one-shot a Dragapult. So that's why Rowan's bench is super small. He hasn't gone super wide. I'm sure he had the opportunity if he wanted to have more Charmanders or more GPs, but Rowan smartly recognizes that that's a losing play in the long run. Now, you can see Hedrick here trying to set up a Mew with an energy, and like that's really smart by him because, like I'm just saying right now, the Clefairy can't knock out the Dragapult, but Mew EX can if you get the Clefairy down. So I think Hedrick definitely, if he could, like would want like another Bravery Charm on the Mew, but he discards the Pokegear here and doesn't get an Arven or the chance to get an Arven off Pokegear, and he gets the Galvantula. So I mean, Galvantula is just getting it in preparation of Charizard. Yeah, he kept his Blood Moon, which is kind of interesting. I wonder why he kept Blood Moon instead of keeping Pokegear. Yeah, like Galvantula is a really good attacker in this matchup. It one-shots Charizard, and like especially like now if you're gonna go and amp the Dracloak, like Charizard is gonna be able to come down eventually. And then Rowan never really wants to spend a turn knocking out Galvantula. That's a 1-prize attacker. So I think if you're Rowan here, you want to knock out the Mew. The Mew is the only thing, not the only thing, but it's the most threatening thing because it's threatening to knock out your Dragapult once you get one. We'll see what he gets here off of the Recons. So as Rowan here, you're just trying to go like a 2-2-2 prize map. you know, you could like knock out the Mew and then like maybe put some damage on the Latios or like the Miraidon or the hands and keep Phantom Diving or use Charizard later. You can see Rowan has Rare Candy Charizard there to get it established, which is really nice for him. And we see an Ultra Ball is about to come down from Rowan as well. He's going to probably get the Dragapult with this. You don't really want to bench things like Fez in this matchup. One, because you don't want to get Clefairy, but two, because then in the late game, the Joltik Box deck can use the Blood Moon and just use that for their last two prizes. One thing Joltik struggles with in the late game is like just having an attacker that can do a bunch of damage. And normally it's Blood Moon in a lot of matchups, but if there's no target for Blood Moon to knock out, then you're kind of in trouble. So, Rowan, I think he Arvin for that counter catcher last turn actually in preparation of this play. He just really needs to draw a Luminous Energy and he's basically like in complete control of this game. But he does not draw the Luminous Energy. Now his turn gets a bit awkward, so he decide what to do. So he could attack with Charizard, and just take two prizes, and like let his Dragapult get knocked out by Galvantula, which I don't even think is that bad of a play, which is what he's going to go for. Because if Galvantula knocks you out, as long as you have Gust on your next turn, you can just like hit the Latios or the Miraidon, spread some damage on whichever one you didn't Gust up, and then go for a 4-prize turn to finish the game with Dragapult, since the Dragapult is completely safe here from being knocked out. So now if you're Hedrick, you probably want to just like take a knockout with Galvantula. It still is your best play, taking two prizes that way. And yeah, you gotta try and figure out a way to knock out the Dragapult eventually. You could maybe use Latios's attack, because Latios is a Psychic type. So maybe you attach Psychic to Latios, or you have to attach Lightning actually to Galvantula. So if you had Crispin, you could do that. But Hedrick's hand is actually completely dead. It's like double Pikachu, I think double Boss energy. Or it's 2 energy, double Pikachu, and Boss. So he's not even able to do anything with his hand. He can't even knock out the Charizard. You could Boss the Dragapult, but that's not going to do much. So you might have to just hit the Charizard with Galvantula's turn for not a knockout. So yeah, if Galvantula doesn't have a Lightning Energy, it does not do enough damage to knock out a Charizard. Or a Grimmsnarl, or whatever other Dark Stage 2 you're trying to knock out. So, the attachment here, yeah, is probably the Grass. You want to save Psychic for Latios, maybe, if you ever have the chance to go for that line. But this is a huge whiff by Hedrick in terms of the prize race. I think Rowan was already in an okay spot, but now like this makes Rowan require a lot less cards to pull this game out. Charizard, I think it's going to do 240. Oh, no, it does 260. Okay. Oh, yeah, 50 plus 80, I think, with the ability. Yeah, so now if you're Rowan, like if you have Gust, you probably want to Gust up one of the Pokemon on the bench. You could Gust Miraidon or Latios. You could just hit the hands. Rowan does play Jamming Tower, and then you just like Jamming Tower later to knock it out. You're also doing 240, so then if you Gust later in the game, you also can just finish it off with Phantom Dive. That way, Rowan gets access to Counter Catcher when Charizard goes down. So I think that's a reasonable move as well. Yeah, so that's what he's going to go for. He's going to play the Boss on that. I like that. The Boss instead of Counter Catcher. Save your Counter Catcher for later, because you can combo it with a Supporter, or you can just like Arvin for it. Then Rowan would love a Luminous if he had one, which we know he doesn't, because he would have played one last turn. So he's not going to have a Luminous for that Dragapult. Instead, just going to probably just hit this hands, and then play for a Jamming Tower later in the game to knock it out. Or just go for like the Phantom Dive. You can put like 10 on a Latios with Lucha, or like Monkey Dory if you have damage on your side, and then take a 4-prize turn to win. But Rowan is like firmly in the driver's seat here. Not much I think Hedrick can do if Rowan just draws what he needs. Okay, so Hedrick gets Nest Ball this turn, so that could turn into... I think useful it could turn into right now. I mean, it could turn into what, like Fez next turn? I guess. Like, yeah, if you're Hedrick, you probably just take the knockout this turn. I guess you maybe use Galvantula to do it. And just conserve your hands, so then Rowan like can't really bench anything. Also saves energies for leaves later, maybe. Okay, so he's considering the Psychic. Maybe he'll attach Latios. Okay, going for the Miraidon. Gonna check, I guess, what's in his deck. There was an Iono earlier, right? So then I guess this would shuffle the order. Can't remember if he played a shuffle card last turn. Yeah. But you're just kind of seeing the limitations of the Joltik Box deck. Like, there's no draw engine. There's like, it's literally just like what you draw, and like you basically just play off the board after your first like jolting charge. And then like Rowan has this game less options because there's not a bunch of J cloaks, so this is actually a fairly linear position. But there's depth in the way that like Rowan had to like get to this position. Like that's kind of his matchup. Is you try and get to a position like this for the Dragapult Charizard player. And you can see there, Hedrick goes for, I think he went for just the arm press instead of going for amp, because actually amp wouldn't be enough to knock. How much did we do last turn? Did we do 260? I mean, you could have amped, I guess. But I guess maybe he's saying, like, if I get Iono'd, I'd rather get Iono'd to 2 instead of 1, since Rowan just has a Dragapult, right? Now, if you're Rowan, you basically just want to, like, knock this out. It is safe, actually, to bench a Fez, because, well, it depends. If you bench Fez, like, it's safe to bench if you don't take a knockout. Because then Hedrick can't attack with Blood Moon and gust it up. And then, like, if Hedrick can't use Blood Moon, none of his Pokemon can actually, like, knock out the Fez. But it is safe to bench it if you want to as Rowan. Because Rowan's just looking here for, like, the Hawlucha counter catcher play. Or the boss, which, yeah, he doesn't have yet. Or if he had Hawlucha, you probably don't bench it here. Because if you whiff, then it's just kind of bad. Okay, you can bench Hawlucha, but then you can't bench Fez. You bench Hawlucha and like go for it. And I think Rowan only plays 2 counter catcher if I'm remembering correctly, and he already played one. So his odds off like a researcher on Iono aren't that high to hit it. So he's gonna pick, I guess, Fez as his Pokemon of choice in this situation. And I think he says a research, yeah. There's that jamming tower. So he could have jamming towered and knocked out the Iron Hands, but he's basically saying like I don't need to do that yet. I can just wait. I don't know, maybe you do just play jamming tower, and then like what does Hedrick promote? He promotes like Galvantula maybe, and then you just hit it and then spread damage on the bench. I guess, but then like Blood Moon, if Hedrick has this one Iono, you're in trouble. So I guess there's no need to play fast. Yeah, Rowan just burns a Nest Ball and a Poffin. That Nest Ball is going to come back to haunt him. He didn't really need to play it. I understand he's like, oh, I don't want these anymore if I get Iono'd, but like you're playing this Joltik Box, doesn't play one Iono. So I think the Poffin was fine to play, but Nest Ball might have been nice to keep. Because if Hedrick punches into you, then you can just get the monkey back if you play something like a Rod, which we'll see happen. And Rowan will get a little, not stuck, but he had game next turn if he didn't play that Nest Ball. So, I mean, back to Hedrick's side, it's like we're still just chilling here. Not much you can do. You probably just have to punch the Dragapult and just like hope that Rowan doesn't have anything anymore. And then you can just knock it out over 2 turns. If you arm press this turn, you kind of force Rowan to deal with the hands, because otherwise, if he doesn't, then you can like, if he knocks it out, you have Blood Moon. If he doesn't, you can gust and knock out Dragapult for game. So it doesn't like guarantee you win or anything, because like Rowan can still very easily just have disruption. But it just makes it so that Hedrick will have the opportunity to win on his following turn. Right now, Hedrick's Arven here. Couple options. Looks like he's considering a Super Rod. Maybe to put the Mew back and get that in. But he definitely wants, you want to as Hedrick this turn, like get another basic down and start getting it ready for sure. He didn't attach last turn. I guess he didn't want to power up the Latios, which fair enough, because he doesn't play that many Psychic Energies that he can actually draw. He would need a Crispin, I guess. And I guess he would need Crispin plus Clefairy, which, well, I mean, if he would have top decked Clefairy, or Crispin, sorry, he had Nest Ball for Clefairy, so maybe we could have attached the Latios, but maybe he prized the second Psychic. When he was looking through his deck, I was trying to look for it. I didn't see it yet. So, checking tabs on Rowan's discard. Hedrick's gonna grab that second Bravery Charm there. Don't know if it matters that much. I mean, I guess it protects Latios from like a Hawlucha Gust, so it does actually help a little bit, for sure. Yeah, I don't see the other Psychic in there, so Latios is probably not a possibility. He's gonna go for the Rod. I don't see what the Rod here. I think it's just like what, like Mew and some energies in his discard. So yeah, Charm on the Latios. I like that. It makes it so Rowan can't just go Hawlucha Gust for game. That's definitely a good play. And then we have Ultra Ball. Okay, so maybe he's thinning his hand so that he can get the Mew and draw a card. You don't really need Pikachu in this matchup, but just 300 is not enough to knock out either Charizard or Dragapult, and Rowan or Hedrick doesn't play Gravity Mountain, so he can't really get it. Okay, so we're gonna preemptively bench the Ursaluna, so that if our Iron Hands goes down, we have an attacker. Okay, I like it. We have boss. And you could boss and hit the Fez. I don't think that matters that much. I mean, if you hit Fez, then Rowan can't get monkey set up next turn. Because Rowan would have to attach retreat. Draw just the Mew. Yeah. Beat up that shuffling. So he's not going to play Nest Ball for Mew. Interesting. And then he just hits for 160 with arm press. Alright. And then, yeah, Rowan top decks Luminous, and then he's like, oh wait, I had Super Rod in my hand, so if I would have kept Nest Ball, I could have just grabbed Monkey and then gusted for game. Because you can put 30 on the Miraidon, and then you'd win. So if he would have saved the Nest Ball, he would have had game now, but can't change the past. So he's just going to Super Rod the Monkey back for now, and then, I don't think you well, you can't Nest Ball if you got rid of it, but you, yeah, he's explaining now to Hedrick, like how if he would have kept the Nest Ball, he had game. But yeah, you don't really, can't change anything now. But he's going to Super Rod it back just because he could still use it later in the game. Because now there's damage on his board. And then he's considering benching a Charmander. The reason it's safe to bench this now is he's probably going to knock out hands this turn, or he loses the boss either way. And now that there's damage on the Dragapult, you don't have to save it. So, or it can get knocked out. You don't have to save it from Clefairy. So I'm not going to talk. I want you guys to hear what happens when Rowan draws cards right now.
I actually hate life. I actually hate life, Kieran.
Did you draw Monkey CC Evolution? Oh yeah, you.
But I attached already, so I can't win.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Pass.
That was pretty funny. Rowan literally hit like the perfect combo if he didn't attach the Fez to win. But that was such low odds to hit that because he only had one counter catcher left. I think that was, it wasn't his last Luminous, but it was the only Luminous he could draw because he had the other one in his hand, or the one he attached actually. I mean, I think it was still correct to attach the Fez, so you have a pivot, because I think Rowan just conceded that he was going to go for this turn. And you can see Rowan just puts the cards face up because he says to Hedrick, all right, you either have boss for game or you don't. If you don't have boss for game, I just win. So just puts it face up on the table. And you can see Hedrick's hand. He does not have boss for game. I don't know why. Oh, okay, he didn't put Mew down last turn because he didn't want to actually get it. That gusted and he'd lose. Actually, that makes more sense. But yeah, he doesn't have boss, so Hedrick's just going to lose game number 1 here. I don't know what he's thinking about so hard. But I guess great players always try and find a way to win. But yeah, there you go. And then now he just shows that Rowan is going to win. All right, game number 2 here. Hedrick is going to get to go second because he lost the first one. Always a good advantage in this format for the most part with the decks. It looks like he has a Miraidon in his hand, he has Arven, so his hand's like reasonable. Then Rowan starts with Monkey Dory. Probably not who Rowan wants to start with. Rowan's best starters in this matchup are Charmander and GP, just because he wants to go for that limited board strategy. And it looks like his hand's not that strong. He's just going to have to go attach, pass with a Fez on the bench. I wonder if the Fez got benched to try to avoid getting donked. Maybe? Not sure. Fez needed to come down. Maybe that's why. What could even donk in Hedrick's deck, like Clefairy, I guess? Yeah, I'm not sure why Fez came down. Yeah, not really that sure. And it could be useful later, but... Alright, so Hedrick's going to do his egregiously long prize check. As will Rowan in a few seconds. I have this at 4x speed. And according to my timeline, this still takes like 30 seconds. But, I mean, I guess they're taking it seriously. There was a lot of prize money on the line in this tournament. Alright, so we're probably going to see the hands Joltik, the classic. We'll probably see the attachment onto the Joltik after. Here comes the Arven. I'm curious what he's going to pick here because he doesn't have a follow-up supporter, I think, for next turn. Because he looks like he's going for Nest Ball Charm, probably going to get the Latios, so he has for retreat. I don't know if there's Rescue Board in the deck. You could pick like Rescue Board plus Pokegear if you need another supporter for next turn, but just going to go get the Latios, guarantee that he can get the Jolting Charge next turn. Or sorry, this turn. And then get the Charm down, so the Iron Hands doesn't get knocked out from Charizard after Hedrick takes his first 2. I mean, his hand has boss, so he has boss next turn, but after that, it's looking kind of weak. So, yeah. I mean, he has a good turn 1, but his follow-up doesn't look that strong to me. Alright, so now Rowan top decks Poffin, because I assume that would have came down if he had a last turn. So I'm just going to get the Charmander GP, I think, and get going from there. Yep. So this game is a little harder for Rowan to go for that strategy where he only has one bench Pokemon when he attacks with Dragapult, just because he started Monkey. He's already benched a Fez. Now here, if he has TM Evo, he probably wants TM Evo. He has Luminous, so it looks like he's just going to knock out the Joltik. I think if you don't knock out Joltik here, Hedrick can just like Miraidon and then just set up a second hand, and the game does get a little tricky for Rowan. So I kind of like this, actually knocking it out. I think he probably has the cards for Rare Candy Charizard in his hand if he's going to do this. Otherwise, you might want to play it a bit slower, but yeah, taking the Joltik off kind of locks Hedrick into like starting his attack this turn. And now looking at Hedrick's hand, like it's kind of weak. Not much is going on. Yeah, there's like Double Boss, Clefairy, Charm, and other hands. So I guess the biggest question for Hedrick this turn is just, do you knock out Monkey or do you play Boss on like Charmander or DP? If you attack like something on the bench, you're going to get Mind Bended and your hands is getting confused. Which I honestly don't even know if it's that big of a deal. Like maybe you could afford to knock out Charmander just so you don't get attacked this turn. But I guess he just goes for the knockout, which is probably also reasonable. Alright, so now Rowan gets Fez, which is nice for him. He's definitely looking for Rare Candy Charizard here. I will say if he doesn't bench another Charmander and Hedrick does get the Iron Leaves, then Hedrick can put a lot of pressure on that way. We know that Hedrick doesn't have anything in his hand, but Rowan doesn't know that. Well, I mean, he can read that he probably doesn't have like an Arven, or maybe even a Crispin, but he doesn't know that he doesn't have Ultra Ball or anything. Or maybe you can make 3, there's no Ultra Ball, because maybe Mew would have came down there. And then we're going to see Arven here for the Candy Zard. With Candy Rescue Board, and then make a Candy Zard. And then, yeah, Zard is so powerful in this situation, because you can get the energy on the Dragapult as well, so you just need one Luminous, and then that thing's attacking when it becomes a Dragapult. So very, very strong board for Rowan here. He's going to have the same situation as last game, where you just hit the hands, and you're not going to knock it out, because the Bravery Charm, and then we just need to draw either Jamming Tower, or we can Gust it to the bench, and then use Phantom Dive to finish it off. Oh, and he also has the Unfair Stamp, so Rowan has the Unfair Stamp now. Hedrick's hand was actually not that good, so he might be happy with this Unfair Stamp, assuming he draws some better cards. We'll have to see what he ends up with. And then Rowan smartly saves the Dracloak for after the Unfair Stamp. And just so he has more cards to work with, he doesn't have to shuffle back whatever he got. Saw a Boss in his hand there. We need a quick peek. It looks like there's a GP, and I can't tell what the other card is. It might be a Stretcher. He's considering grabbing there. I mean, Rowan's board is like pretty low maintenance now, because like he has Fez on it, so if any of these guys ever get knocked out, he can just use Fez as well. But Fez is a really big liability in this matchup, just because normally, like I was mentioning earlier, like Blood Moon is how the Iron Hands deck like closes out the game, because it can't just like make 3 attackers, because they're all very energy intensive. So normally if there's a Fez on the board, you can Blood Moon it. So if you can avoid it, you don't really want Fez on your board. So it doesn't matter if Hedrick doesn't take a prize next turn, but that is something to keep our eye on as Rowan keeps taking prizes. Here I think we're just going to Burning Darkness for 240, and that Bravery Charm is going to keep Iron Hands alive with 40 HP remaining. And then, okay, so Hedrick has Crispin. And then he has nothing else really. So we could maybe do Miraidon for another like hands or something. Get energy there. It doesn't seem that good to be honest, because even a lot of energies to attack with hands. And we would need Crispin again, then we can't play Boss. I want to go for a 2-shot if you can here. So Crispin probably on the Miraidon then. I mean, if you hit the Charizard this turn for 160 with Arm Press, you can finish it off with... I forget what Miraidon's attack is. I think it might be Photon Blaster. Yeah, we'll set up the Miraidon that way. But yeah, still not looking very good. Hedrick is definitely living off the top deck next turn. And for Rowan, he's just in a really good spot. Especially if he can attack with Dragapult next turn, just get this Charizard to safety. So that rescue board he got for the Charizard is going to be really nice, because you just retreat for 1, then later in the game you just need any energy card. And you're just chilling. Charizard can attack again. You can see here... the attack, the Arm Press for 160, so Charizard has 170 remaining. Alright, now let's see what Rowan has to work with. I'm going to start with a Dracloak, probably see all the cards he's working with the turn before committing to supporter. I think I saw Arven at the top of his hand, so see what he's going to get. So I might change his Arven decision. And yeah, I wish we could see the 2 cards at the bottom. But it looks like there's a decision. I think I saw Luminous in his hand as well. So we should be able to get Dragapult if we want. If you want Monkey Dory, you can get Monkey Dory. And then you could do Monkey Dory plus Badoo this turn, which I think might be what he ends up going for. Because Hedrick can't go 2/2/2 very easily here without boss and energy. So there's a stretcher for Monkey. So I think that is what he picked last turn. And then there's that Luminous, and there's the Badoo. Okay. And now since we've already benched a bunch of Pokemon, it's safe to bench another Dreepy because Clefairy's gonna knock us out no matter what. So we'd rather just have the option to use Dracloak. And I really like this Badoo. It blocks a lot of cards for Hedrick. Like Pokegear is an out for him to like get a supporter next turn. So we're blocking Pokegear, we're blocking Nest Ball, we're blocking Ultra Ball. Those are all outs to Pokemon like Fez or Mew. And then if Hedrick like wants to knock out this Badoo, that's fine. He goes to 3 prizes, so it doesn't advance his prize map. And Rowan's at 3. So I think from here, like Rowan is in like such a commanding position. I don't even know what Hedrick would need here. He would have had to like top deck Fez into like drawing like Energy Boss, and then we would need like Blood Moon Boss or Catcher to finish the game. But he just top decked, I think it was Arven, right? Yeah. So that Badoo actually really good. It's gonna block Ultra Ball or Nest Ball from coming down here from the Arven. So really heads up play by Rowan to go for the Badoo instead of going for the Phantom Dive. Assuming Rowan had Phantom Dive. Yeah, so just really smart play. Understanding Hedrick's hand isn't that good, and then just making sure he can block as many outs as possible. Now if you're Hedrick, yeah, no, you like grab Ultra Ball, I guess if the lock gets broken, so you can grab Mew or Fez or whoever. But yeah, definitely not in a good position here. Yep, just gotta pass. I mean, now if you're Rowan, you can just like, kind of sit here and like make your board as strong as possible. You know Hedrick doesn't have Energy Boss because he probably would have played it. So he probably would have even just played an Energy if he had one. So you know if you want, you can kind of just chill here. Like you're not in a rush. Like you can hit this Latios for 10 with Badoo. You can move 30 to Rhydon if you want. So that way they're both in Phantom Dive range. You can like keep just healing your Charizard. So Charizard's at 130 now. So if you get it to 100, it's actually out of Photon Blaster range. Yeah, I don't think Rowan needs to attack until his board is like super strong or Hedrick starts showing signs of life. So that's one thing I see a lot of players do is they just like immediately like, oh, I need to attack. My opponent's not doing anything. But if your opponent's not doing anything, sometimes you can just sit there and like wait until your board is like super strong and like basically like impenetrable, which is it looks like what Rowan is gonna go for. Yeah, he really didn't do much. He just did Recon, did a Monkey, and then Badoo. And Hedrick draws Vessel. Can't really do anything, right? So Rowan's just buying himself time here to draw another Luminous in the Dragapult. Pretty much fully heal that Charizard. And then once he feels confident enough in his board, he'll go ahead and attack. There you go, there's a second Dracloak. Just continuing to improve our position. Fire, so now Charizard's ready to attack. Maybe he didn't have an energy before, but to attack even if he did, I don't think he would have attacked. Actually, we'll see this turn if he wants to attack or not with Charizard. But I think until he has Luminous Dragapult, he shouldn't really attack. And he can even knock out the Miraidon when he wants. Yep, so just going for that Itchy Pollen. He's playing it slow. And yeah, like at this point, like I don't even know what Andrew can draw. Like pretty much nothing would save him, I think, from this position. Well, there's Boss, so I guess like if Rowan does one more turn of Itchy Pollen, you draw like Energy, you can go Energy Boss, but actually I don't think that works anymore because now the Charizard's so healed, so if you boss the Fez and knock it out, you're at 2. And then when Rowan goes to knock out your Miraidon, there's no targets for Blood Moon to take out anymore. Yeah, still in a very poor position here. But, I mean, Hedrick lost game 1, so he has to keep playing, can't scoop, he's got to figure out a way to win. And then, alright. Now I think if Rowan can get there, he probably wants to attack. Because the Charizard's healed enough now that you could even just go, like, boss the Miraidon and just knock it out. I think that's reasonable as well. Okay, so here comes Dragapult. It looks like probably going to be attacking with Dragapult then. Or maybe even if you attack with Charizard, just, like, get in the Dragapult down, so if Hedrick gets his 1 Iono, you don't lose the Dragapult. I mean, you'd probably be fine because you have Fez and Double Cloak, but... Alright, so here comes the monkey again. We're going to see it go into the Miraidon. And then I guess maybe Rowan holds off on boss just so if Hedrick attacks with like Blood Moon or something next turn, he just has it to boss for game. But I mean, you have Charizard, right? So Charizard... Well, Charizard can't one-shot Blood... Or no, it can one-shot Blood Moon with Monkey, actually. I think he's chilling either way. I mean, this position's like almost unlosable. That's for sure. I think he's just thinking through here which Pokemon to attack with. I guess if you attack with Charizard, you can get Iron Leaves, so... Oh, that would be my one argument to play boss, just so you don't, like, if Hedrick has Iron Leaves plus boss, that doesn't mess you up. Yeah, that would be the one argument I would have of, like, why to attack with, or boss the Miraidon, but he just goes for the attack here. With the Dragapult, and now he has boss in his hand, so if he doesn't get Iono, he should win. Now Hedrick has to come up with any possible comeback potential. I think the only way you could win is if you get like Rowan stuck in the active, unable to retreat. I mean, when he failed through Rowan's discard, I saw a couple energies there. Let's see, 1 fire, 2 fire, 1 luminous. I think Rowan only plays 5 fires, or maybe he plays 6. I forget how many he plays. Okay, so there's 1 luminous left. There may or may not be 1 more fire as well. So you could try and get him stuck. The rescue board's in play. I think Rowan probably has a stretcher or the rod left as well for recovery. You have to like get something stuck and then like use like Fez eventually to like Cruel Arrow around stuff and snipe it. But again, these are very like low percentage plays that are probably not going to work out that well. So here comes the Ultra Ball. Probably going to see Fez off this to draw cards, or we might see Blood Moon, looks like, at the bottom. You probably have to grab Fez. Or there's 2 Ultra Balls in the hand, I think. So we could grab Blood Moon and Fez. We could grab Fez and Mew. You could grab Mew and Blood Moon. Let's see. Yeah, Blood Moon doesn't work as an attacker without a Bravery Charm. Because then if you attack with it, you just go Monkey 30 to it, and you just Charizard for 240. That's 270. I mean, we do know that Hedrick plays Double Charm, so... Gets the Charm to go with it. That could work. You're debating the Fez. He's maybe being like, alright, if you prize your last energy, I can deck you out if my deck is less. So, I mean, these are all the things that go through like good players' minds. Even though it looks like the game is completely unwinnable, Hedrick looking for any line to win. Yeah, I wonder what he's debating here before Fezzing. I mean, there's no reason to boss before Fez if you're gonna flip the script. Might as well see what you draw first. Okay, so there you go. And you could get your hand low enough to Ultra Ball from you and draw more cards that way, maybe. Get rid of that. Get rid of like either Arven or Vessel. You go to Arven, then you could Vessel the Grass if you wanted, and play boss. That would make your hand 0. See. No, I'm gonna go for Blood Moon. Okay. Not Blood Moon. All right, Mew. Okay. Yeah, so definitely gonna go for that Cruel Arrow play. Okay, he's gonna Charm the Fez, because Fez can take a hit. You leave it in the active. Or, actually, wait, no, it can't. You can still just go Monkey, then knock it out. So that Charm doesn't really do anything. Okay, double Mew, nice. Can draw 1 more, just keep cycling. No, nothing useful. Then yeah, you just have to pass, I guess. Yeah, he doesn't retreat because it doesn't matter. If he retreats, then, like I was saying, you can just knock out the Fez with the Monkey. Alright, so now for Rowan, we're just trying to draw that energy, or like a stretcher if we have one. Just retreat and end the game. He's going to thin out a Charizard with Ultra Ball. All great players do this. Stick that out so he doesn't draw it off of his supporter. I saw research in his hand. There's another Ultra Ball. You could thin another card. It doesn't, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it doesn't really thin a card because you're shuffling the card you just put to the bottom. Your deck is still the same size. Or it's not the same size, but the size of cards you could draw is the same. But I mean, you still do it because as the game progresses, you don't want to draw Like something like that Charmeleon. Alright, so it looks like Rowan's deck's around 15-ish cards. So if he has one energy left, it's around 50-50. If he has multiple, then it's much higher, obviously. Even if he doesn't hit it this turn, he has so many turns, because Hedrick would need to Cruel Arrow like 5 or 6 times, I think, to win. And there's the Luminous, so he can just retreat. And that's the set. Rowan is going on to top 4. Really well played by him in this match, for sure.